first thing I'm doing, as always, is prepping the eyes for the shadows that are to come. And to do that today and every other day, I'm using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. My skin is very dry lately, so I'm just using a light hand when applying this product. And I'm still going to set that base in place to make sure that it doesn't budge. But again, I'm only using a very light dusting of powder because my skin is very dry. Palette wise, today I'm using the Urban Decay Naked Heat eyeshadow palette. This is my third and most likely final look that I'm creating with the palette, and if you haven't seen the other two videos, I'll link them below. I'm going for a winged out, kind of elongated look to my shadows today, so I'm using the shade Sauced and applying that on the outer corner of my eye, angling the shadow upwards and outwards towards the tail of my brow. Then I'm using that line as my guide and I'm blending my shadows in from that point. So I'm taking a little more of Sauced this time on a fluffy blending brush and I'm adding that into the crease, making sure to pull the shadow upwards and outwards on that outer corner. I like to take my time applying this particular shadow because it's my transition colour and it'll help the other shadows that I apply later on blend easier. It'll also act like a halo over the other shadows in the finished look, and I just find this gives a smoky eye dimension and a really professional finish, so I do think it's worth taking your time building up this shade. I usually like to apply two, so a lighter and a darker version. It's not essential, but I just like layering my shadows from light to dark, so that's why I've taken Low Blow next and applied that shade in the crease as well. Next, I'm taking the shade He Devil, which is a warm reddish brown, and I'm beginning by buffing this on the outer half of my lid. Once I've deposited the majority of the colour, then I'm sweeping what's left on my brush across and into the crease. Once I'm happy with how that looks, then I'm going back in now with a tiny bit of Sauced on my brush, and I'm just blending over that edge of the look to make sure that firstly the shade can still be seen, and secondly, just so that it blends in nicely with the red colour we just applied. Next, I'm taking Ashes, which is a lovely deep plum shade, and I'm using a flat brush to pack this shadow onto the lid. So this shadow, I do find you have to apply it gradually in layers in order for it to show up nice and opaque, so that's why I'm doing that, and I'm just keeping the shadow solely to the lid for the moment. Once I'm happy with the coverage on the lid, then I'm going back in with a fluffy blending brush, this time with no product on it, and I'm just fading that edge up into the red in the crease, so just blending back and forth to fade the two together. And then once again I'm going back in with the red, firstly to re-intensify it, because with blending it would have faded a little, and then secondly because I want to make sure that it fades nicely into that purple. To add some further depth and darkness to the look, I'm taking a black eyeshadow. This one is from Kiko and it's brilliant, very pigmented and really easy to work with. And I've just picked up some of that on a pencil brush and I'm working it onto the outer third of the lid. Then I'm very, very lightly sweeping it upwards towards the crease, but only on that outer corner. For the lower lash line now, I'm just repeating the process, so beginning with the shade Low Blow, and I just picked that instead of using it in conjunction with Sauced because there's not a huge difference between the shades. Then I'm smoking He Devil along the lower lash line with a little bullet brush. Then with an angled brush, I'm going and packing some of that plum shade Ashes into the lashes, and then I'm feathering it down ever so slightly. And finally, I'm adding some black along there too. Firstly with the angled brush again because I wanted to apply it right in those lashes, and then I'm using my bullet brush to smoke out the edges. If you've got harsh edges on the lower lash line but you don't want to smoke the shadow out more than you've already done, go back in with your face powder and buff around the edges of the look, and this will soften those edges without adding any more shadow, so it's a really handy tip. Now I'm taking a black eyeliner. I like this one because it's jet black, and I'm using this to line the tight line only. I have a whole video on lining the eyes that I uploaded last week and I'll link it below in case you haven't seen it. And then I'm using Alkaline, which is a deep reddy plum colour, and I'm using this liner to line the bottom waterline. To finish off the look, I'm adding some of the SoSu lashes in the style Dubai, and then to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, I'm adding a couple of coats of the Urban Decay Troublemaker Mascara, And then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you did, don't forget to leave me a comment and a thumbs up, and I'll see you soon.